Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second week of the off-season competition known as the GameStar Spring Series. Welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Kit Fox. It's a pleasure to be one of your casters for this evening. But before we go any further, I want to introduce you to the man to the right of screen, Gio. How are you, my man?
I'm pretty good. I've been here yesterday. We saw a bunch of games that were great yesterday. You missed out, Kit Fox. It was quite a doozy. And tonight's going to be no different. We've got ourselves two really big teams about to duke it out in the storm, going for another best of three. I'm excited for this one.
Yes, I mean, we've seen multiple units. They've turned up to this competition, not really with much to prove because it is an off-season competition, but they are flexing hard. And I'll tell you what, I'm digging it. You've got the likes of Coffee, Ulti, Jesmez. I mean, this is we said it last week, Gio, a Frankenstein team of some of the best teams going around in the region at the moment, top two or three, I would say, going up against the eGirl Slayerz, who have just sort of, not bullied their way to this position, but they deserve it. You've got Stump God, Geezer, Matt, Penta, and Raven all ready to take the field up against the monster that is multiple units. And speaking of which, the field is going to be Sky Temple.
Big map, great map, objective focus, try and get all those temple focus and whatnot. But it's going to be an interesting one because both teams, it's a 10 wins, 0 losses for multiple units, 4 wins and 0 losses for eGirl Slayers. So one team's going to drop this one. And a contested pick, honestly, will be that Maev. We saw both teams rocking it yesterday. Coffee had it. It was Luke on the side of eGirl Slayers taking up for his team. So that could be a potential ban. But instead, Genji's going to be the first one. And that's not a surprise. It is ANZ. What do you expect?
Yes, it's history repeating itself here in the lobby of Sky Temple. I mean, yeah, granted, we're not the same maps as last week, but the same bans. It's deja vu up in here. Genji, I mean, we saw Maev banned out as well last week. We saw Whitemane, Mal'Ganis, Decade were often targets as well. Diablo was another big one, and Mal'Ganis, there he is. It's good to have a notepad handy, I tell you what, Gio. But back over to multiple units, their second ban. Let's see what they'll pick.
Hey, I got one just in front of me too. It's like we're best friends all over again. This is high school. This is nice. Just taking notes off everything. But we're seeing a Diablo ban away. That is going to be targeted towards Matt. He's kind of a nuisance as the tank liner for his team. This still leaves the options of potentially Orphea being banned as well as Maev. We saw Orphea being picked up yesterday, actually, by multiple units. It was Ulti who played that one to quite a great success against Rinse and Delete, who had a really good performance yesterday night. Could that be banned? We've got to wait and see. No, in fact, it's Junkrat. This does leave Maev as well as Orphea up to grabs.
Yes, Orphea available. Don't know if we will see her in such a pivotal match. But is Tyrande going to be the first pick for the side of multiple units? Stock standard, one would say, of late. There was once upon a time Tyrande wasn't even looked at. Now, recent reworks have sort of breathed new life into the Night Elf Ranger, but let's see what eGirl Slayers will answer back with that. The thing I like about the Tyrande pick is it doesn't really show too much. It doesn't give your cards away. It doesn't show what the opposition, what you're planning at. You can save your strats until way later in the draft. But Dahaka and Hanzo, two very strong picks to start here from eGirl Slayers. Dahaka is dominating. It says, I want to take this global pressure, and you're going to have to answer this.
And also, likewise, with the Hanzo, who's able to apply a lot of, boss control, a lot of merc control with the sheer amount of damage he can apply. So if you're going to deal with the Dahaka, you also got to deal with the Hanzo. And so it's kind of a multiple attack on multiple lanes. But speaking of Orphea, she's being locked in. That is pretty much going to go to Ulti. He did play quite well. And Muradin locked in for multiple units as well.
So it's an interesting pick because Orphea is still relatively new, but the upside to that is because of how new she is, the opposition may not know how to deal with her as such, but let's see what eGirl Slayers will lock in to answer this one. They still have quite a bit to fill. They've obviously need that support role. Another DPS wouldn't go astray. They're going to lock out Samuro here for their third and final ban. So Mal'Ganis, Junkrat, and Samuro off the board. Meanwhile, back at multiple units, you've got Genji, Diablo, and drumroll, please, it is going to be Garrosh, another extremely strong frontliner, taking away, knowing that eGirl Slayers still need that on their team.
I would like to see something along the lines of either Deckard Cain coming out from eGirl Slayer. It would be a way to, interrupt what is starting to look to be a lockdown composition from multiple units. You've got the Muradin with the Engage, Tyrande can follow up with the Lunar Flare. Orphea just loves to nuke down any person stuck in one spot. But Johanna Deckard being picked up, that works out well. This forces a disengage, but also Deckard came with an interrupt if he does go for Lornado.
Yeah, two of the strongest Diablo heroes in the game at the moment. Johanna, when played well, can really turn the tide of a fight, especially if the opposing team is melee or physical damage based. So there's still a little bit for multiple units to fill in terms of roles. They still could do with another solid DPS, and Reyna is a bold pick into the Johanna, given the blindsing situation that we were just talking about. But Deckard as well, I just want to touch on him a little bit. Doesn't matter what build you go with the old Haradrim quest giver, he is an amazing selection. That Scroll of Sealing can turn a fight on its head, and next thing you know it, you thought you were running away, all of a sudden you're re-engaging.
Yeah, absolutely right. It can turn around a lot of fights with the counter initiation tool. Also, Johanna, like you mentioned, with the blind, and also if she does go for Blessed Shield, any kind of dive that comes in, they'll just disrupt it and turn it for themselves. Phoenix, for the final pick, has a great synergy with Deckard Cain. If you get the Stay a While Listen, plus the Salvo is just a sheer turnaround. Could see that happening, especially with a hard engage with the Muradin and Yrel from multiple units. But all in all, a good team composition from both teams. Dahaka has that global pressure that Yrel just doesn't really have early on in the game.
Yeah, that's the one thing that multiple units are probably lacking here. Yes, Yrel can traverse lanes relatively quickly, but the brushstalk of Dahaka is something that multiple units are going to need to keep in the back of their mind. Granted, they are all veteran players, so I have no doubt that they will be prepared for it, but like we were saying before, the Reyna pick sort of worries me a little bit. I mean, if Johanna can get nitty-gritty all up in the front line and potentially even in the back line with the support of the Hanzo, of the Deckard, providing that damage and sustain, I think Reyna could potentially struggle here. But we'll have to wait and see. Coffee's a great player, so I'm not discounting him in the slightest just yet.
If anything, we mentioned it before with the Hanzo pick, it can definitely threaten that boss in the bottom lane and force that kind of get the siege camp with the Giants boss followed by the other Giants, and that's just a Hail Mary play, if anything, for a huge amount of pressure if they get the right rotation. So that's something that is in the pockets. And if you've got the Haku you mentioned, that global pressure, he can definitely be split pushing top lane and just have a double soak. Insane amount of control macro from what eGirl Slayers are capable of doing. But we saw in yesterday's match with Orphea, ulti is able, if he gets onto the right target, and you got Giza as Deckard, not really that much mobile here. Phoenix kind of if he tries to, but Orphea is able to get a blow up with the right target, and we saw it yesterday. Might happen again tonight.
Well, let's see if history will repeat itself, ladies and gentlemen. We have got game number 1 of the second day of the second week here in the GameStar Spring Series. It is multiple units on blue going up against eGirl Slayers on red. Best of luck to the teams. On blue is multiple units. Ulti is on Orphea. Shadow from Crimson Gaming is on Tyrande. Coffee is on Reyna. Jezmez on Yrel. And Magic Gnome on Muradin.
Meanwhile, on towards the red side, we've got ourselves eGirl Slayers. We've got Stumpguard playing on the Phoenix, Matt on Johanna, right? Raven will be playing the Dahaka, the Giza on the Deckard, and finally Penta on that Hanzo.
Yeah, very strong. I was gonna, well, you know what? I'm gonna say it. Very strong egos in this game at the moment. Must be said. Let's see how they clash here in the mid lane. Egos and skill, both of them, very high. Let's go. Matt on the front line as the Johanna. Early Iron Skin being used there. Doesn't, well, the Scroll of Sealing actually catches one. Deckard opting for the Sapphire talent at level 1, so a little bit of increased slow coming out of his cubes. Keep your eye on that one. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, you've got ulti on that Orphea, just farming it up. Coffee has, of course, selected the veteran marksman. Whew, give him some pepper is going to be hurting late in the game, Gio.
If he doesn't get anyone to jump onto him, when you really look at the side of eGirl Slayers, they don't have anyone that could definitely dive on, so if he can just sit back, relax, auto attack for days, that's a big damage. But Deckard Giza is forward out and gets blown up. Wow.
Yep, face check in the bush, and next thing you know, Magic Gnome is stunning you by Tyrande, Luna Flare, and it is just GG. See you later. Thanks for coming. First kill going over to multiple units. Meanwhile, Slayerz currently without the healer, and just fine. Penta poking away on that Hanzo in the mid lane, going for simple geometry. So must be listening into the stream here, Gio. You're going to be putting a lot of pressure on those Merc camps as we get towards the later stages of the game. Meanwhile, in the top lane, you've got Jesmez going up against Raven. Expect Jesmez up there because you know what? He's your rel. It does not matter who he goes up against. Meanwhile, around near the boss, well, the boss area, Matt on Johanna is forced to use Iron Skin as Magic Gnome and Shadow, just trying to land that stun lock combo and shut them down here. But eGirl Slayerz, they're going to be taking their siege camps meanwhile, thanks to Matt. Now, in comes Coffee, in comes Ulti, so it's 4-on-4 here. Magic Gnome tosses himself in, is going to try and steal away the siege giant camps away here from eGirl Slayerz. It's on by a neck. Magic Gnome pulls the pin, and so do multiple units as a whole. Ulti will be lucky to get away with his life here. He does not. Shadow will be lucky to do the same, and he's going to be joining his friend on the bench. Two great answer kills in a clutch situation there, going over to eGirl Slayerz.
No one was able to focus on towards Stump guys, so he was just free rain damage as well as Penta. They were able to sort of disengage quickly and with no real follow-up in terms of dive from multiple units. They were able to say, hey, well, you know what? You're in our area. Let's just hit you for free. Thanks for the free damage.
So not good news for multiple units. They thought they would have got away with that one. Magic Gnome very nearly had the point there. It was probably half a second away from being ticked. Coffee in trouble now in the mid lane. Matt goes in with the Condemn on Johanna. He eats a Sapphire Cube and gets deleted off the battlefield. eGirl Slayerz with a 3-1 kill advantage with a whole level lead here going into this temple phase. Nobody is daring sit on them at the moment. Raven has the Hearthstone interrupted there thanks to Shadow. Now they'll think he's gone back. Hanzo and Raven, respectively, going to get to work on the top temple. Meanwhile, you've got Matt going up against Magic Gnome, a good old-fashioned tank brawl for the bottom one, Geo.
It's a bit difficult if you get caught out of position as well as no mobility, and that's what Raynor has. He can do dish damage, but if he can't move, he can't move. But there's a fight happening in towards that middle shrine. Kit Fox, it's looking good so far in favor of eGirl Slayerz.
It is. The Decade Sustain is just way too strong at the moment. Magic Gnome forced into the passive to heal himself up on the Muradin. It's a 1-for-1 play in terms of objectives at the moment. eGirl Slayerz controlling the mid lane one, and multiple units firmly in control of the top lane temple. Ulti's going to make the call to go down to the bottom lane because realizing that multiple units are a little bit behind here, eGirl Slayerz have committed everybody to the temple objectives at the moment, and that will allow multiple units to claw themselves back in through sheer EXP soak. It's now even Stevens pretty much in terms of experience as we get just past the 420 mark of the game. The temple's going pretty even. Still anybody's game at this point in time. Remember, ladies and gents, it is a best-of-3 series tonight, so 2 wins will get you that big dub.
Not much taken away, only really losing Fountains. The middle fort took more damage. I guess just having better control because Raven at the Haka did have some hold in the top temple phase, allowing him to get some damage on towards the upper side. But with seeing the Giants being taken away, it's going to apply a bit of pressure towards the bottom fort from behind. At least, if anything, stop the minion waves. But in the meantime, in the top lane, there is a 3-man push towards that top fort with also the big old Knights. They're going to try and grab something there, Kitty.
Yeah, the Tyrande Owl was revealing that eGirl Slayerz were going for the invade, but that just opened up the gates up top. There's not a whole heap that Johanna can do by herself against this 3-man onslaught. Plus, pepper that with the Night Camp. Yeah, it's going to be a bad time. Meanwhile, they get it. They answer multiple with that keep takedown in the top lane, rather. They're going to hit level 9 first and push forward towards that all-important end. That power spike, should you hit that first, could definitely turn the game into your favor.
Interestingly enough, no one responded towards the bottom Giants as it sneakily takes away a free bottom fort. That's going to be great, especially considering the bottom temple phase is going to be the one to start. So if anything, that's going to clear up, and if eGirl Slayerz do get it, the bottom fountain, and immediately move towards that middle fort to get a double fort advantage, which is a really great play for themselves after securing this Merc camp up here. This will allow the top pressure as well with the Haka once he has his Brush Stalker. But level 10's up for eGirl Slayerz. Almost there for multiple units. Look for a big fight to come through. It's a Raven. Oh, a little bit of dangerous territory. The rest of the cavalry on their way, Kitty. We've got a fight already happening.
Yeah, the Siege Giant's being stolen away from eGirl Slayerz. Multiple units with the advantage. Stump God comes in with the Purification Salvo. He hits 4 members of multiple units. Tyrande running for her life. The zone is good from Matt. Meanwhile, Decker Kane gets no protection and gets taken down. eGirl Slayerz doing this now without a healer. Urel going into the Ardent Defender. Absorbs, keeps her alive. They get Muradin. They've traded themselves up here. Multiple units are not done yet. Johanna is extremely low. Ulti secures the kill. Ooh, almost getting Johanna. Hold the phone. Tyrande with the Lunar Flare over the wall from the extremely cheap seats way down the back. Put multiple units in front. The cheek of the man, Geo. But wow, what a play.
A big fight happened. We saw all the AoE ultimates coming out from eGirl Slayerz quite quickly. They got the red sub. Didn't do much damage. Hanzo lands on the right. Johanna was able to draw, as well as the while listening.
A pause. That's all right. Ooh, it looks like Geo's left the game as well. So, ladies and gents, pause called at the right time there. So Stumpy, unfortunately, something's going on with the connection there, as well as Geo. So hopefully he'll be back in relatively shortly. So I don't know. That's interesting. Just want to have a quick look at the stats here. You've got Orphea topping the siege damage at the moment, soaking it up 14 multiple units on 54k, just under 7k experience. Meanwhile, over on the side of eGirl Slayerz, you've got Dahaka doing Dahaka things, and that is split pushing, soaking up, utilizing those brush stalkers to keep your team in the game. Geo, are you back with us? I'm going to take that as a no. But Stumpy is back. You know what? Let's roll the clip. Let's go blank. Ulti says ready. Stumpy says ready. I'm going to rock this solo. Thanks for staying with us, ladies and gents. Geo will be back relatively shortly. 3, 2, 1, Lego. We're back into the game between multiple units and eGirl Slayerz here in the GameStar Spring Series. 2 monstrous teams duking it out in an extremely close game. In this, well, I was going to say opening game of the night. It is the only game of the night because it's finals time, baby. Let's crown it that. It is the second shrine phase, the second temple phase here on Sky Temple. And this one, firmly in control of eGirl Slayerz here at the moment. Not only do they have a lot of room between themselves and the opposition, they're actually going to catch Ulti out here as he tried to rotate up into the mid lane to try and do what they did last time, and that was split push into the top lane. They were going for mid this time. They've got Shadow in with a fantastic isolation. Raven gets the little speed boost that he needs from the brush, but in comes Urel with the knockback. Still 20 seconds until Ardent Defender is up. Magic Gnome way out of position here, but hey, he's in Creator Zone like you've never seen before. Stump God is only going to collect 2 here with Purification Salvo, and it was all for naught in the end. Probably could have held on to that, but if they secure the kill, I'd be saying something completely different right now. That phase going well over to the eGirl Slayerz as we tick over to the 8 minute and 40 seconds mark in this game. The camp is up for multiple units. They're going to take that one quite comfortably. The boss is in play as well, so both teams positioning themselves in and around that area at the moment. Stumpy forced to warp away on Phoenix, just to create a little bit of a zone because he saw a 4-man gank fest coming his way, and he said, I'm having absolutely none of that with no support from my team. That Raven up in the top lane, still doing Dahaka things, just soaking it up, making sure that the EXP lead doesn't blow out too far for the eGirl Slayerz here. They're still very much in this. The fight's going tit for tat. It's 4 kills to 5. Potions littering the bottom lane as well. I wonder when Geo will make his way back. Ooh, looks like I heard somebody ping into Discord, so stay tuned for that one, ladies and gentlemen, as we tick down just over 15 seconds until we get into the next temple phase. Still anybody's game. The EXP slightly in favor of multiple units here at the moment, as the positioning from eGirl Slayerz is looking pretty good. We're going to have a juke over the bottom and the middle temples at the moment. Ulti positioning in the mid lane, trying to fill the role of the Dahaka on the opposing team, and that is keep his team in it. Magic Gnome on the Muradin just says to Matt, you want to come at me? You got to come through me. That's right. That was a terrible analogy. Let's never, ever do that again, ladies and gentlemen. Shadow and Coffee and Jesmez combining while Magic Gnome stands a Guardian Sentinel in the bush. eGirl Slayers know that there's not much to do here, but sit back and watch, because Dahaka's down in the bottom lane, keeping them in this. They know Ulti's down there too, so they decide to pull the trigger here and engage, knowing that this is now a 4v4 instead of a 4v5. As the Iron Skin goes in from Johanna, she's going to collect 2 with Condemn and 3 with the Blessed Shield. Stumpy's going to get 4 with the Purification Salvo, and will clean up Tarande. So no heals here for multiple units. Orphea comes in, just peppering damage for days. The Dragon's Arrow collects Mura, and eGirl Slayers with a 2-kill advantage here, hunting for a third. They don't find it, but hey, 2 is better than none. Dahaka come up with a well-timed Brush Stalker, so that bottom temple is still up for grabs. They're going to secure the mid one. Stumpy's going to get the burst damage off. Ulti and Jesmez trying the cheeky play to steal this one away from eGirl Slayers, but they're going to be smart and decide against it and give it over to Raven. Geo, my man, are you back with us?
I believe so, but I can do it over here. Can you hear me there, kitty?
Yes, we are. We hear you, but hold the phone. Degiza has just popped a big stay a while and listen. Collects Jesmez. Ulti was woken up from it. Jesmez, mid-jump! Gets tongue-dragged by Raven on Dahaka, and now eGirl Slayers turn their attention to the boss. That build on Hanzo is dominating, but hang on, there's a big double kill from Orphea, and the boss steal is on! Oh, it's Game of Thrones here on Sky Temple. Matt commits the Blessed Shield, and here come multiple units on the counter-punch. They get to Giza, and all of a sudden, eGirl Slayers, in the blink of an eye, are licking their wounds, going, what the hell just happened?
We talked about it. That's Orphea being picked up. She's able to get a massive burst potential damage, and that's what we saw. Gets a double pick for herself. They're able to force all of eGirl Slayers off of the point, secure themselves a boss, and why not? Let's just keep pushing down bottom lane. It's going to be a keep being threatened. 15 seconds, 13 seconds for Deca Kane before they have the support up. And Kit, this is looking to be a big fight happening right here at the bottom keep.
Yes, lots of pressure here coming away from multiple units. They've got their Yrel joining them relatively soon. Here's where eGirl Slayers need to get a kill. Johanna into Iron Skin, but it's not enough, and Orphea secures the kill. This is what we're talking about. The new hero to the game, extremely hard to deal with in the early stages of release. The cube is going to collect 3, as well as the Scroll of Sealing. So well utilized, a great utilization there of the Sapphire on Deckard Kane. Raven taking a lot of damage. The Giza forced in to stay a while and listen, get stunned out from the Lunar Flare, but that will just create distance between Deckard and the opposing team on multiple units. He tries it again. He's going to collect 1. There's a 4-man Purification Salvo, but Jesmez had Ardent Defender on and was able to absorb most of the damage coming out there. Also needs to be careful utilizing Shadow Walk to get away, but it only works. Spit that out eventually when you actually land it onto someone. Now Coffee shoots through and will use that penetrating round just to disengage from Raven, because the last thing you want to do as Reyna is get tongue dragged. You are extremely squishy. We're just under 14 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, and it is 17 to 16 in terms of levels. EXP now currently well in favor after that big boss steal of multiple units. Geo, how goes your reconnect?
Well, it's getting there. I mean, I can still kind of watch the game, still be part of it. And it was a smart decision by multiple units to back off after threatening the core. Yes, they were able to get down to 70% health, but staying any longer could have been a big throw. But speaking of throws, there's a big fight. Giza gets blown up, Kit.
Feast! Eternal feast for days, and Orphea removes Deckard Kane, and this is not good for eGirl Slayers. Multiple units, all of a sudden, they've turned this game on its head, and they are snowballing so hard. You know you're in trouble when your tank gets melted like popsicles in the summer heat. This Purification Salvo is not going to be enough. And multiple units now. They've got the push down bot. It's a wide open gate at the moment with the Catters, with the Siege Giants, and they are going for the jugular.
I think we know what's going to happen next game. We're going to see that Orphea ban. Just ulti, both yesterday and tonight, has been an absolute monster. He's feeding up, he's hungry, and we saw that Eternal Feast just amount of sheer burst damage. But it's going to be game on, going over towards multiple units with a pretty strong win in the end, securing the boss, getting onto the temple, getting the right team fights. A 1-0 victory on top of eGirl Slayers.
Yeah, big plays from multiple units. Granted, Geo, it was an extremely close game up until the big boss throw. Oh, well, throw is a bit harsh, but what a play from multiple units to come out there and get that advantage. That's where the game really, really changed. So, Geo, if it comes down to a situation like that, in order to shift the tide of the game. I cannot wait to see what game number 2 brings.
Definitely. It's a pretty close match, and that's what you want to see in a best of 3. You don't want to see a one-sided thump, and you got 2 teams pretty even out. They fight to the very end. Guess some little misplays right there near the end cost them the game, but looking towards game 2, we're going to see probably a different band pick, and maybe a different team. Who knows? They learn from their mistakes, come back even stronger.
That's it. 13 kills to 8 was the final score. Well done to multiple units. They take game number 1 after an absolute nail-biter on Sky Temple. But you heard Gio say those 3 magic words, best of 3. So stay tuned, ladies and gents. We're going to take a very short break. And on the other side, we will have game number 2 between multiple units and the eGirl Slayerz here for the GameStar Spring Series.